It's okay to get a Kings Island Gold Season Pass and visit the park 5 or so times this season, but it makes no sense to visit the park every single operating day for 5 consecutive years, unless, of course, you are Nick Gaskins. Hello, everyone. Alongside Ryan Sir, I'm Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.
Tower Topics is a podcast by Kings Island fans for Kings Island fans because that's who we are and that's who we care about.
So, Ryan, let's introduce our guest tonight. Let's call him Mr. Perfect, Nick Gaskins. Nick, welcome to Tower Topics.
Thank you.
Yeah, we rarely have a guest
So,
on this show. It's normally our other show we have the guest, but you talk about somebody that's prudent to talking about Kings Island. So for those of you who don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name's Nick Gaskins. I've, for whatever reason, have attended Kings Island every operating day for the last 5 years. So it's just my hobby, and I find time to break up the day by visiting the park. Not many people can say they visit it more, maybe 30, 40 times a year. But this past season, I did 165 days. Now, 6 of those were private events, but still 165 days in one season to Kings Island. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I
it
completely
is.
agree.
Now, Nick, you said the last 5 years. Before you started this streak, did you have a season pass to Kings Island?
Now, 6 years ago, we first got our pass. We lived in Mason, probably about 5, 6 minutes away. So that very first year, we got 71 visits in that season. So my son, he was like, let's see if we can't go every day the next year. So my son and I visited the park every single operating day that very next year. And it just became a thing that we were going to continue on to the next year. And he decided he didn't want to go every day. So I've continued the streak on.
So when you started when you visited 70 something times one year and then I'm gonna go every day this year. Did you plan on doing it for multiple years or was it something that just kind of happened like another year, another perfect streak?
No, it wasn't really planned that way because the first year that we got 100% perfect attendance, COVID struck the next year. So at that point, that's when he didn't want to go every day. And when that happened, you were able to make a reservation the day that you visited the park. So I was lucky enough to get a reservation every single day that was available for reservations. And it just kind of continued on from there.
Was there any concern during that time that you weren't going to be able to get a reservation, that streak would come to an end?
Now, that early into my 5 year streak, I wasn't really worried about it because I already did 1 year perfect attendance. So I was thinking if I can get this year with COVID, how the operating season was, fantastic. If not, no big deal. I'd still visit as much as I could.
So I mean, you visit every day essentially. How do you use your pass? Are you typically there all day, or do you just pop in, or is it a mix? Or walk me through a Nick Gaskins day at Kings Island is what I'm asking for.
So it's kind of a mix. There's some days that I'll go there and I'll just be there all day long. Usually it's a Saturday or a Sunday because I do work. And there's other times, like if it's pouring down rain, I'll kind of plan my visits to see if I can't find a window where it's not raining. And those days I'm in there maybe 20, 30 minutes, grab a bite to eat and see if there's anything I can ride with the rain. If not, head on home.
Now, Nick, you've garnered a bit of notoriety for this streak over the years. When did Kings Island guests and associates, start to pick up on, hey, this guy's here every day?
I would say it was the end of my third year going into the 50th anniversary for the fourth year. That's when it really started picking up, and you'd noticed it. And a few other guests that would see me there all the time were like, how many visits are there? Do you live here at the park? Kind of thing.
Oh wow! So I mean, you visit so often, so I'm going to take you as an expert, at least from a guest standpoint. What's your favorite ride?
Well, right now, with the Winterfest just ending, my favorite ride was Mystic Timbers, of course. How now with Winterfest, you're only limited on a couple of different rides there. So during the summer, it's a toss between, I'd say, like Orion and Beast. But I always seem to go back to the Beast for the night rides.
Of course.
We talk about favorite rides. Obviously, you're there a lot. You're there for long hours. Some days you got to eat. What is your go-to food item?
My go-to, probably for the last couple of years, has been the pub burger at the Brew House. It's by far the best burger that I think you can get in the park.
I agree with you on that, Ryan. I know you like the pub burger too, Ryan.
I am approximately 62% pub burger, according to my general practitioner. So, you've been around to. I feel like you're a big fan of like the events that Kings Island does, as am I. What's your favorite Kings Island event? Like when we're talking about Carnival, Winterfest, and so on.
My favorite by far is Haunt. I love the atmosphere for Haunt. I like the mazes. I like the atmosphere. I like the fog. I like the entertainers. I like everything about Haunt. And a close second would be Winterfest.
Now let's talk about the Halloween season. There's also the daytime event, Tricks and Treats Fall Fest. Take that event in as well, or you just wait till the evening and come for Haunt?
Depending if I got a lot of friends up there, if my family wants to go up there, we'll get up there mid-afternoon, do some of the tricks and treats. Band up there, the Fantastics, they play up there a lot on the weekends. So I always try to catch at least one of the shows on the weekends and do a few other activities for the day with the kids.
That's really cool. So you were around for every day of the 50th anniversary season in 2022. Um, that was my favorite season of Kings Island. I don't know how you feel, but of all the activities, the special activities that they did to mark the 50th, what was your favorite part of the whole year?
My favorite part was the fun fireworks and 50 at the end with the drone show. That's something I hadn't seen before because my wife doesn't ride roller coasters, so we don't visit other parks. So I don't want her to torture her on a vacation just so I can get another coaster credit. That wouldn't be fair to her. So I know a lot of other parks do the drones, and this was the first time I'd seen it, and that by far was just an awe moment for me.
It's really cool.
Now, Nick, I'm guessing you have the dining plan, right?
Of course.
Now, for somebody that's thinking about it, they're on the fence, they're considering getting the Kings Island Pass or maybe the dining plan. I do the math on your visit. You said 165. So just per visit, you were probably averaging about 80 cents or something a visit to go there. So tremendous
Mhm.
value. But somebody that's going to be more reasonable and they're only going to go maybe 4 or 5 times, what would you say, would be why should they buy a pass and why should they buy the dining plan?
So one of the best parts of the park is the dining plan. You can eat twice a day with a gap of 4 hours in between there. You've got a wide selection of meals to choose from, and if you're going to visit 4 or 5 times, it's probably a no-brainer. Just the cost of the price of the food at the park itself. I would recommend it to anybody who's going to visit at least 4 or 5 times a season.
Yeah, absolutely. So so I take it you're a season pass holder. You don't buy a ticket every day. I
Uh,
get that question a lot too, believe it or not. But w-
yeah.
so you mentioned the dining plan. What are the other add-ons that you like to have for your pass? How do you pack your pass wallet?
So the fun picks is a definite for us. With the visits every day, I just love getting my ride pictures. So the second is the all season locker. That's a must, especially during the haunt since you can't exit and come back in. Not sure what the weather's going to be. And third, this is by far the favorite add-on that I have, and it's very controversial, is the all season fast lane. I love it. I don't think I'll ever go
Have you
without it.
gotten it every year? Or
Well, Nick, let's talk about Fastlane, because there's that group that doesn't like it because they think
Mhm.
it's cheating or it caters to the rich and all those kind of things. I liken it to if you're going to go to a baseball game, you have the choice to sit in whatever part of the stadium you want. And you sit in some areas. It's got the premium services, food service, everything like that comes to your seats. It's like an airline. You can sit in first class, coach, whatever you want to do. So I liken it to that. But to me, um, it's the best way to make the most of your day at Kings Island or some of the other Cedar Fair parks when you have that fast lane pass, whether it's all season or all day.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. With the ability just to hop on a ride if I want to. It's one of my favorite things. I've gotten several dirty looks going through the fast lane, but I'm paying for that feature. And that's one of the larger ticket items that the park utilizes that they're able to purchase new things for the park, just like Adventure Port this season. Some of the funds that they're making off the passes, and by far the biggest portion they're making is the all-season fast lane, is going towards upgrades to the park.
Yeah, that's a way of thinking about it. Absolutely. Yeah, the all season locker thing, I always thought I've never had that before. That's one of the few add-ons I've never had, but I've always thought about that. But it would be cool if you could just have a lot. I mean, for people like you and I that are there very often, it'd be cool if they like you had like a locker like in high school where you could keep like a spare pair of shoes and stuff. Like I'd pay good money for that, you know. For those of you who don't know, with the all season locker, you have access to a locker every day. So you still clear it out, but you come the next day and you scan your season pass and you get a different locker. So you can't leave stuff there, but you do always have access to the locker. So Nick, you're a fan of shows. I know you mentioned the Fangtastics, which is uh
Mhm.
our friends and yours, Hi-Fi Honey. Obviously just rebranded for Haunt. Besides that, what are some of your favorite like Kings Island shows? Like normal Kings Island shows you've seen in the last couple years?
So my favorite is Phantom Theater. The 2-year run on that was absolutely amazing. I couldn't tell you how many times I'd seen that, and that was just by far, I think, one of the most popular shows that's happened in the last couple of years with the park.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, Nick, every day I'd see those photos that you'd post on Facebook about your visit. You'd be in front of the little, the calendar
Yeah.
floral display there with that. But seldom have I ever seen you wearing Kings Island gear. So, do you have any Kings Island merchandise? Do you go into the shops, and maybe you're not an apparel person, but do you buy things like the posters or, other items that are available?
So I don't have much Kings Island apparel. I've got a couple hoodies, a couple t-shirts, but I don't have a lot of that. So everything else, I'm a huge fan of. I've got the complete set of the posters, complete set of the 50 pins, the Phantom pins, a lot of the wooden cutouts. I've got pretty much a Kings Island museum in our family room of different merchandise.
Yeah, that's how I
All
am
right.
too. I'm not a big like coaster t-shirt person, but I've got a bunch of made to thrill posters and the coaster cutouts and I go crazy at Disney with the little knickknacks and so on. But let me transition that a little bit. You mentioned your wife doesn't ride coasters, so you haven't been to a bunch of other parks, but is the temptation ever there where it's like, I if I go to Kings Island every day and don't break my streak, I can't really go to Kentucky Kingdom. I mean, you found your way to Bucky's one day, I remember that, but
Yeah.
you know, like is the temptation to go to another park there? Like is that a consideration?
There is a temptation, and I would like to visit Cedar Park this summer with how the season is at Kings Island. There's about a week or so that they're still open during the week when Kings Island's through the weekends. And I had plans to go this previous year, but the plans fell through with a couple work obligations that came up. But I'd like to try again for this year.
Well, we're all rooting
Yeah,
for
Nick,
you.
I can kind of identify a little bit with that because in the '80s when I was riding the racer all the time, I would think about going to another park, but well, if I go there, then that's going to be 30 or 40, 50 rides I don't get on the racer that day or two, however long I'm gone. So I would think about those kind of things. But when you're looking at the streak, um, is it still fun? Is it enjoyable? Does it ever feel like work because I gotta go because if I don't, the streak ends?
No, there's been a lot of issues with the park, and some well known, some not as well known. But at the end of the day, it's my favorite place to go. I could stop going anytime I want to, so it doesn't feel like it's a must. I'm going because I want to. If I decide to wake up one day and it's like I'm not going, I just want to go, and that's the end of the streak.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to end it where it's not planned and it just kind of happens overnight and it's just over.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. It's going to end at one point or another. We all know that. But in the foreseeable future, unless there's something drastic happens, I don't foresee missing a day.
I'm glad that you can continue the enthusiasm. I mean, like, as with anything, you show up every day and it becomes kind of a chore. But I've seen you like hanging around the park and you've got your like posse of friends there and stuff. So I imagine for you is similar to me, where uh, like a lot of my friends and family ask me often, like, don't you get tired of riding those rides and stuff? And it's like, well, looking at it, I hardly rode anything this past season because for us, it's a meeting place. It's the town square. It's we go there and we collect and we hang
Camaraderie.
out. Yeah, you got the camaraderie and stuff. It's not about seeing the shows and riding the rides, although that's clearly a bonus. But it means so much more than that. And it's being burnt out on going to Kings Island to me is like, are you burnt out on your hometown? It's like, well, that's not a thing, you know?
Yes, I feel the same way. I've met so many friends over the years going there, and there hasn't been a single visit that I haven't run into at least a couple friends, meeting, we ride rides. And as for the getting tired of the rides, ha- have you not been on the Beast at night? Have you not felt the drop on Orion and Diamondback? It's just a feeling that's no other. And with my home park being so close to me, able to visit every day, I just feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the world to be able to have a hobby that I'm able to do every day.
Yeah, my thing, when I was doing the racer was I would explain it that the thrill never wore out, and I'd imagine you're in the same place.
Yeah, definitely. It's a thrill every time I go there. If I'm there for the fireworks, it's almost like I'm watching it for the first time, watching other people there with the fireworks, with the drones and everything. It's an amazing experience, and it's something that I don't want to like give up. I'm so lucky to live so close as I do that it's one of, I just can't explain it. I just love going there.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that always got me. It's like this can be my 50th visit this season or whatever, but if I'm taking somebody there that's never been there before or hasn't ridden Orion yet or hasn't seen the fireworks show, like you can totally experience the park through their eye. I got to do that with my girlfriend, taking her to Disney World for the first time this year. And it was like I'd been there several times, not recently, but I'd been there several times throughout life, and just being able to vicariously live through them and see their excitement and stuff is like doing it for the first time yourself. You know.
Yeah, definitely. I took my niece and two nephews there for the first time last summer, and riding the rides with them because that was the first time that they visited Kings Island, so they hadn't really been on roller coasters. So just the excitement that they were feeling walking through the park, seeing the rides, getting off the rides, it's just something you can't describe.
Yeah.
Now, Nick, a question I always got, and I would imagine that you have heard this a time or 1,000. Do you work? Do you have a job?
Yes, I've got a job, and actually, I'm here right now. I had a couple issues today, so I'm still at work.
So what you're telling us is your boss said you spent all summer at Kings Island, you can work late one freaking day.
Well, I work different hours. I set my own hours at work, so
Yeah,
it's just one of those things where it just kind of worked out to be better here at work tonight during the interview, so I'm not home with the dogs barking in the background.
that's true. We
Now,
appreciate
what do
that.
your coworkers think about your streak?
They think it's pretty amazing. I came in last week, and a couple people said that I'd seen you on your Channel 19 news interview, and they weren't aware of my obsession with Kings Island. So it sparked a whole conversation with them, and I think I got a couple new pass holders for the park next
Oh,
year.
that's cool. How did that interview come to be?
So I didn't post anything on the uh, any of the groups this year about my attendance streak. I guess like 5 years I put on my page and didn't really want to like celebrate too big about it because there's a lot of negative feedback that comes out of it. So I just kind of kept it to myself. So someone had tagged me in a comment on there saying, did Nick finish up another year? And that sparked the interest of Channel 19. And they reached out to me via Facebook and set up the interview.
And
You did a nice job with that.
yeah,
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
so you just met him outside the park and did the interview.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a 20-minute drive from work. Just met them up there. We spoke for about 30 minutes, and they cut out to the best part of it and aired it that same day.
Yeah. How, do you when you look at that, and you said you spend about 30 minutes, just all that time you spend talking to them, and they narrow it down to that.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of questions, and they just got the best part. And I was actually surprised that I got about 2 minutes of the 5:30 newscast that day. So it was either a slow
Prime time.
news day, or they really found interest
Well, I mean,
in
it's an interesting story. I mean, it's out of the ordinary. I mean, like I said at the top of the episode here, I mean, it's for most people, you buy your pass and it's okay. They go 4, 5, 6 times or whatever, and you said some go in the 30s and 40s. But when you go every single day, I mean, that's unique. It's different. It's human interest
Yeah.
story. I mean, I can see exactly why they wanted to do that story.
absolutely.
Yeah, and
So
I'm honored to be part of any interview and interest about it.
and here you are as a result of that, another interview. Hey, Nick, we're
Here we go.
just about out of time, but do you have any final thoughts that you want to share with the fine listeners of Tower Topics?
So I am looking forward to season 6 of my perfect attendance streak. I'm looking forward to another year of roller coasters and fun and see what exciting new comes from the park this year. Really looking forward to it.
Awesome, Nick. Thank you so
All right,
much for
Nick,
taking
final
the time.
question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yes.
final question, Nick. Do you practice your autograph?
I'll sign one for you, Don. If I can get one of yours in return.
It's a deal. It's a deal. Well, Nick, thanks for joining us on Tower Topics. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to be part of this podcast.
Awesome. Thank you.
Moving on to this episode's listener question. It comes from Dylan Young, and he asks, what's your prediction on the next coaster removal and the replacement for it? It's a nice question. Brian, your thoughts?
Yeah. I'd have to say that the next coaster removal for Kings Island would probably be in Vertigo. It is over 20 years old now. There aren't many of those in Vertigo models left anymore, and it's very low capacity. So that's very valuable real estate in the front of the park. So I imagine that that would be something because Congo probably is hitting the end too. I mean, I don't know anything that you don't know, but no one's ever in line for it, So if they were going to do something with the front of the park, especially if they decided to get rid of the Timberwolf, I mean, my gosh, that's
And no
acres
one's in
upon
line
acres.
for it. You say no one's ever in line for it. Where do the hundreds of thousands of riders come from, I wonder then?
It could be a capacity thing, but I still feel, I mean, I'm just an outsider looking in, but when it comes to Congo, I feel like even on the busiest day, you can essentially walk right on it. And I don't think its capacity is that good.
Ye Yeah, I mean, well, that would give you an area to do something, and then depending on what happens with this, Six Flags Cedar Fair merger when that closes and what, the IPs they use and, that area gets a re-theme, those kind of things. I think, yeah, I could see in Vertigo and Congo Falls, going, or I could see, you know, those staying in Timberwolf becomes prime real estate, to expand and add other rides and a big, coaster, that kind of thing. But so you're going to go with Invertigo. All right. Well, thanks for the question, Dylan.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Hey, another great episode. Thanks again to Nick Gaskins for being on. I'm Ryan Sir, along with Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.